Hello everyone and welcome back to Packs and Recreation, and today, as you can see by Shorikai Genesis engine, we are continuing the Assassin's Creed saga. Now, where is the relation? I don't know, it looks like the Animus. I didn't have any playmat that looks like Assassin's Creed, sorry, my bad. So, there's a starter kit. Sorry, not kid. A starter kit. Maybe for kids, if you want to learn how to play Magic the Gathering and you like Assassin's Creed. So maybe this is your portal into it. Now, let's be clear. Wizards releases one of these once a year, more or less, and they themed it around whichever set they think is going to work, or at least a combination of sets. So we have one for Assassin's Creed because this is bait. And why do I say this is bait? Because the others are slightly different. So not only aesthetically, because as you can see before, they had more plastic, and they removed that usage of plastic, which, hey, I am all in for it, so not shaming. I like shiny things, but this actually looks sicker, I think, more elegant and more epic, because they can pop up the creature. Well, at least in these ones, because here they stop doing that. Even though this is the next one after this one. So let's see how the Bloomborough one will look like. But Bloomborough is going to be the next one. We're going to open that as well. They launched one for Assassin's Creed the same way they launched one for Lord of the Rings. Now, why Assassin's Creed and not, I don't know, Fallout or Doctor Who or Warhammer? I don't know, maybe for Doctor Who and Warhammer they realized, like, this is for old geeks mostly. They know how to play Magic. I don't know. And for Fallout, I honestly have no clue. I guess it's because they went, like, if it's only commander decks, they don't do that. They only do this if it's a full set or a half set, like is the case of Assassin's Creed. So for Lord of the Rings, they did this baby right here. So you had Aragorn and Arwen versus Sauron, the Lidless Eye, and you had cards that were exclusive to this, which, you know, were the commanders of each side, which is not really commander because it is like normal Magic. Now we're going to compare these beyond aesthetic for a very specific thing. So in the previous ones from last year, we had pretty much the same format. So you have two decks. Here they go for a more epic theme of, like, oh, well, it's the good guys versus the bad guys. And they have foil cards. And here, are they foil? Yeah, they are foil. So here they also have foil cards, but they don't hammer so much the fact that you have, like, representatives of each side. You have two ready to play 60 card decks. The ring is also here. You have two deck boxes, which we're going to talk about that in a second. You have a play guide, which is actually interesting, and codes to unlock both decks in Magic the Gathering Arena. Which, fun fact, it was Magic the Gathering Arena. Now it's just MTG Arena. They don't care really. So this is interesting because then the next year, the heir to the standard starter kit, so they release one a year, which I think is cool. It kind of includes a bunch of standard legal cards, so people know what to do and what to expect. This mixed a bunch of March of the Machine with Brothers War and some other sets. So the colors are not always the same, by the way. Here it was blue-white versus red-green, and then it was blue-red versus green-white, so it really depends on whatever they feel like it. For the starter kit, the last year they did two basic decks with a Silverback Elder, which is actually a very good card, and Sarkhan, which is good for Commander, so you could actually get this if you wanted those cards, although those cards are cheaper than just buying these. Also, this depends, because this is the type of product that they release. It costs around like 10, 15 bucks. Some stores sell them for 20 bucks. I don't really agree with it, but apparently the recommended price is somewhere around it, if they had, because it doesn't have a recommended price. Same logic here: a guide, a code, and two deck boxes. Deck box is a very lax term. If you have curiosity about the contents or decks of any of these, check their videos. Maybe we have links down, like one video here, link here, or videos downstairs. Maybe there's a playlist. I don't know. So at this rate, we might as well have a playlist of starter kits. We review starter kits. We're that type of channel. So for Assassin's Creed, very nice looking one, and they actually balanced the thing pretty well. So when I bought this, I was blindly believing that I was like, oh, it's going to be Assassins versus Templars. Like, no, because there are no Templars in the Assassin's Creed set. Well, there are some if you consider like Connor's dad, right, more or less. But it's all assassins because people just care about assassins, and let's be honest, no one remembers about any Templar in the games. So basically it's Ezio, the most well-known assassin from Assassin's Creed, and Eivor, the last or most recent assassin from Assassin's Creed, which is kind of not true because you had Basim in the meantime, but maybe that game didn't sell as well, so they were like, go with Valhalla because people like Valhalla, so let's go with Valhalla. So most recognized Assassin's Creed, last Assassin's Creed, starter kit, 2 decks ready to play, same logic, but spot the difference between this and any of the others. Can you spot the difference between these and the others? And the answer is ding, 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 ding. Something is missing here. And mind you, I bought one of these to play with a couple of friends to teach them how to play, young friends. So, you know, they actually like Assassin's Creed. So this is the intention here. People like Assassin's Creed, so this acts as a gateway into Magic the Gathering. And Magic the Gathering is a great game. Now, it has some predatory practices, and it's basically loot boxes in cardboard, but the game itself is cool. So you can actually just print proxies and play, so it doesn't matter, or you can play in cockatrice or whatever. So if you really want to play Magic, you can. It's not money tied. There is an investment side to it, but we are digressing. So I bought them this, and I was like, hey, I will teach you how to play Magic with this. And it was like really a practical application of this. So I opened it, which I have to say, like, the opening experience is not the best because it's kind of like, I mean, you're not supposed to save this in any way whatsoever, but, you know, it's really like, okay, like you open it. Sometimes everything comes in the same pool, sometimes it doesn't. You have the deck boxes here, which is a very vague term, and you have the decks in the back, which let me show you how it looks. If I can do it, maybe I can't. So the decks are sitting here in the back. They normally don't get out. So you have the 2 decks, one red-white and one blue-black, which is actually 2 very good combinations for a start playing Magic. This piece of cardboard that doesn't work for anything. Fun fact, we actually started tearing pieces of this and writing +1/+1 on it to play because I didn't have my usual dice with me. So there's an idea if you want to just play a quick game of Magic somewhere. The deck boxes, which are, calling them deck boxes is kind of a bold thing. One has Ezio, the other has Eivor. Cool. They went for female Eivor because I haven't played Valhalla. I play Odyssey. So I'm guessing it's like Odyssey. You can choose your main character. So I guess they went with both to balance the roster a little bit. So the deck boxes, which, yes, the decks fit in here perfectly, but if you sleeve this, even if with a single sleeve, not double sleeve, because it's kind of pointless to double sleeve this, they don't fit. So these boxes are worthless, which is a shame. And if you are going to teach someone to play Magic without the wonders of a sleeving, what are you doing? Like, maybe if you sleeve them with an inner sleeve, it fits here, but if you sleeve them with like dragon shields or something, it doesn't. And you know, they immediately learn another of the, you know, typical things in Magic, which is all the deck boxes that wizards give you are just trash. Like you don't use them. The moment you protect your cards, that thing is worthless. And you need to protect your cards because the moment you shuffle it once, you're already screwing them. So this is kind of a trap because it costs you like 10 to 15 bucks, maybe 20. And then you have to buy some sleeves, and this is 60 cards, this is 60 cards, so you want 2 colors of sleeves, so you have to buy 2 packs of sleeves. So the cheapest ones, maybe it's like, I don't know, $4 each. So not that bad, but it's $8 more that you're spending. If you buy Dragon Shields, it's like $10, $8, or $11, depending on which Dragon Shields you're buying. So as we say, the color is going to be more expensive than the dog. So if that's the case, do what a friend of mine did and just buy, like, I remember this, I will never forget this story. I think I already told it in the channel. I once bought 2, not 2, I was very into dual decks. One of these days we're going to open dual decks for fun in the channel. I have some of them. I keep buying them just because I love that product. Because dual decks are kind of like this. It's just like a board game. You just they are made to play against each other. And I love Commander with all my might, and I love playing like Modern and all that, but sometimes you just want to play with people that are not that into Magic. Like, they like Magic, but they don't follow the meta, they don't care, they don't have decks. Like, they like how to play Magic, they like playing Magic, they just don't want to build decks and be competitive and shit. So if you give them a deck, it's cool, but obviously your decks are not meant to be played against each other. You're always trying to be the best like no one ever was. So when you have two decks that are made to play against each other, that's Magic. Haha, get it? Because you just go like, hey, pick one, I pick the other one, and then we can play, because you want to play with your friend and you want them to enjoy Magic, and you also want to enjoy Magic. So if the balance is already done for you, that's great. And I always love dual decks. So the fun fact here, or just fact maybe, is that I always bought the dual decks, sleeves for both decks, and then remember those boxes that Ultra Pro had that was like a box with two deck boxes on it, so you could store everything in it? I bought the whole thing. So it was like $20 for the deck box, or $10 for the deck box. I think it was 10. I can't remember. Well, let's say it was $10 for the deck box, which I think it was 20, but and then 10 for because it was Dragon Shield, so maybe it was 8 and 8. So it was like $16 plus 10, so it was like 26. And then I bought the dual deck, which was like around 20, 25. So the protections for the deck were more expensive than the deck. So, and I was like, oh, but I have to protect the cards and all that. And this friend of mine just looked at me very seriously, and like, he wasn't even trying to mock me or anything. He just said, you know that maybe, just an idea, maybe it's just cheaper to buy the decks twice and just play without sleeves. And like, if you screw those, it doesn't matter. You have a sealed one, and a sealed one is always better than one with sleeves, right? So you have a sealed one and one that you don't care about. And I'm like, this guy may actually be a genius. So for this, it's kind of the same as a starter kit. It's supposed for you to learn how to play with it. The cards don't matter, etc. But I think that part of the thing with Magic and Pokemon and Yugi is also learning how to take care of them. So yeah, I will buy some sleeves for this. So long story short, sleeves. Then the starter kit play guide. Well, this kind of teaches you how to play Magic. We're not going to go too crazy over this because it explains the colors. I love that it's the first thing you see. It's like, there are 5 colors. These are the philosophies of the colors. Islands make blue mana. Swamps make black mana, kind of thing. Like, these are the contents of your thing. The reference cards that actually come here, for once, are actually useful. Because, you are supposed to learn how to play. They show you the alignment, and it's like, okay, so creatures go in here, lands go in the back. So that's one of the few official things in Magic when it comes to line up. It's like, your deck goes to the right, ideally. Your graveyard goes underneath your deck, ideally. And then you have creatures, and then you have lands. Now, I have the extra step of being like creatures, artifacts, enchantments, and then lands. But hey, that's just the theory. Then it explains you like the concepts and so on. Very basically, sadly, they have simplified this book to be a copy-paste book. So likely we're going to see this book being pretty much the same, maybe changing the colors for Bloomburrow. So instead of being white and red, because these are the colors of Assassin's Creed, maybe it's going to be green, white and green or something, because it's Bloomburrow, or maybe it's just going to be red. We're going to figure out. But it doesn't have any Assassin's Creed flavor anywhere besides like here in this card of Ezio Blade of Vengeance, and it kind of explains you the card, so that's nice. And then you have one assassin here, one assassin here, you have the set here. So they actually put some stuff in here. It's not like super loaded with art, but it's there. And Ezio in the end with the parts of the turn, and learn how to play Magic, enjoy the community, blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't come, and actually you have a fact, and the fact is kind of very useful. Can my creatures attack my opponent's creatures during combat? No! This is actually, I love it that this is the first question, because this is the most asked question from beginners in Magic the Gathering. It's like, no, you don't attack creatures, you attack players. Which is, if you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, this is confusing. And if you play Flesh and Blood, the same. And it's like, well, no, here you attack the player, and then the other player just defends themselves in whichever way. Do I have to play creatures mana cost every turn that is in the battlefield? No. Actually, funny, because as a person that has been playing Magic for years, I would read this and be like, oh, okay, I guess these are fair questions. But without looking at this, I actually got these questions from the people that I was teaching how to play Magic. So these are very valid questions. If they didn't have a teacher along, this is actually, fairly comprehensive as questions go. Then they're going to use Google yes or yes because the decks are not as simple as you would like. So we have 2 decks, Eivor and Ezio. Let's start with Eivor because it's red, and red always goes first. So the decks have a theme each. So both of them are Assassin's decks. But you can tell the theme by looking at the Commander. Commander with quotation marks because it means that it's the foil card and you only have 1 copy, but it's not really nothing crazy, or it's not the Commander really. So Eivor Battle Ready is a 3 red, white, 5/5 human assassin warrior that has vigilance, has haste, and they explain the effects, what is vigilance, what is haste, because this is a starter kit, that's great. Whenever Eivor Battle Ready attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of equipment you control to each opponent. So you can really tell that this white and red deck is going to be all about equipments. That's right. So you have a bunch of fortress, so you have defenders. It teaches you what is defender, what is reach. That's great. So all the cards have keywords, and not all of them, most of them explain what the keywords are. So you have the expensive cards first. So the ones that are like the cards that the new players get excited when they pull them. You actually have the Ravenclaw War Axe that is like it calls Eivor to your hand. So this is pretty good. And actually the Ezio deck has kind of the same thing. So there are some similarities between both decks. They are not the same though, otherwise it will be boring. Because I see these people exchanging decks after playing it for a while, so they wanted to experience all sides. You have enchantments. I feel that enchantments like these are very good because it says enchanted creature can attack or block. And it was a very good learning opportunity because I had to explain that you don't necessarily enchant your creatures, you can enchant the other player's creatures. And it was like I could see the lights in their faces, like, oh man. And it's like, well, yes, that's cool. You have 3 copies of some cards. I don't think there are 4 copies of any. You have like 2 to 3. Some cards, like the cool ones, only have 1 copy. You have instants, so you have kind of the entire reach here. You have an enchantment aura, mind you. You have some legendary creatures, but you don't have more than 1 copy of most of like these. You have some here that have more than 1 copy, so that you can teach the legendary rule. But you have enchantment auras, so they learn that. You have instants, so they learn that as well. Then, whenever it enters the battlefield cards, that's good. Flying, and it says what flying is, right? So this is a equipment deck, right? You put some +1/+1 counters, and then, for example, this is an equipment, and when it enters, it creates a token. You get a token. Tokens are here on the back. You get 2 tokens. You get an assassin's token, and then you get the reference card and a card that is learn how to play Magic. You don't have a Magic Arena code, so sadly, you can learn via Magic Arena, which is actually the fastest way to learn how to play because you are on Rails and it tells you how to play and not how to play. So you can use these cards for reference. For once, they are useful. And the assassins are also treasures. So they are double-sided tokens, which is actually very good. And you introduce tokens to the players as well. So that's very good and comprehensive. Equipments, you create creatures, cost for equipment is like 2, attached targets. So they explain everything, which, to be fair, most Magic cards explain things, not the basic keywords, but most of the keywords. And effects are pretty simple. You're not going to have like a crazy game or anything, but you're going to have like a comprehensive game. You have trample. So all the basic keywords are here and they are explained. You have, the Burrow Headmaster is kind of a good card. Equipment spells you cast cost 1 less and abilities cost 1 less to activate. This is very good because it teaches you all those interactions. You have double lands that enter tapped, another good thing, and you have equipment. So you have Hookblade that gives you flying when it's your turn. So you have a lot of, again, good interactions. Ezio is also here, but on a different perspective. You have some legendary creatures here, but see, as you can see, it's like 1 copy of Ezio, 1 copy of Arbaz. Towering Viewpoint is interesting because you have an artifact creature that is a defender, and it has defender and reach. So if this is one of the first cards that they pull, sadly, because of space, because they wanted to add flavor text, it doesn't teach what Defender is or what Reach is, contrary to, for example, Escarpment Fortress. That does explain that. And it's funny because it has a lot more effects and it's a rare. So you will expect that the rare doesn't have to explain it, and the common would, or the uncommon would, but the uncommon doesn't explain anything. Doesn't have time for that. So, and then you have a bunch of lands. Actually nice looking. So you shuffle this and you shuffle up and play, and you're ready for that. So this is Eivor's deck and Ezio's deck, which, again, I'm just telling you the perspective point. If you want to see the deck list, you can see it online. Like, there is no same logic. You actually get 2 assassins. There are also treasures, the guide, and the learn how to play. The learn how to play link is kind of shitty because it's like, it's kind of here to get started, and it takes you to the Magic the Gathering website and then to Magic Arena. And yes, you can learn in Magic Arena for free, so you don't need the code, but like it or not, it's always nice to have the code with the same cards you have on paper, so that you know how to play, and you can play against your friend remotely as well. Sadly, they didn't include it. Now, there is a theory on why they didn't include it, and it has to do with video game licenses, apparently, because apparently Wizards licensed Assassin's Creed for a card game, not for a video game, and since Magic Arena is a video game and Assassin's Creed is another video game, it didn't happen. So apparently that's the reason why. I don't know. I don't work at Wizards. So, Jet, give me a call. So Ezio, Blade of Vengeance, is the leader of this deck. It has Death Touch, and whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So this has more assassin synergy, I will say. And you have Auditory Ambush 2 times, which is a card that has 2 effects and pulls Ezio from your deck, which is the same as the Axe does for Eivor. Achilles Davenport has Parkour or Free Running, and then Menace and other assassins you control. So it's very other assassins you control. It has an enchantment, it has sorceries that actually tap creatures and put stun counters on them. So you have more interactions here to learn, which is very good. Flying, and it explains what flying is, because, you know, it has a hook, which is fun because you have the hook blade veteran here and you have the hook blade in the other one. So there are some synergies for both players to go like, aha, so there is a theme, there is a flow, not bad. Whenever you control another legendary assassin, so you have more assassin synergies here, I will say. You have Free Running, which is basically damage from assassins, so it enters with that in mind, right? Like whenever you lose life, you gain life. That's kind of how it plays. And it has a strong Death Touch mechanic, which makes this deck a lot more pulsed than this one. This one is more like equipment and attack and let's go. And this one is more like, let me not allow you to play and let me try and block you, right? So that's kind of because you have Death Touch and that you can play with just being back and forth. And that's interesting because Death Touch is one of those, and then you see like you have a lot of 1 copies of things, which is like, okay, I guess. And you only have 1 tower compared to the other one that had 2, right? So they try to balance it in that way, like more of this, more of that. You have a lot of elimination with murder and other removal on the board. And you have the lands, obviously, and the tokens, and so on. So overall, it's not the best starter kit, not gonna lie, because it doesn't come with a Magic the Gathering Arena code. Now, I think that Wizards could, yeah, they have the QR code, and if you scan the QR code, you go to Arena, but okay, you can't give me the same cards in Arena, give me some other cards, and then you can introduce me as a Trojan horse to the Magic the Gathering lore and the Magic the Gathering cards, because at the point of release of this, if you make me go into Arena, I will see cards from Thunder Junction, Modern Horizons 3. Well, Modern Horizons 3 will be the feature card. So I will see cards from Modern Horizon 3, which are admittedly more complicated cards, but actually very cool cards. And I will see stuff from Fallout, and I will see stuff from Thunder Junction, and maybe more there's a Call of Manor, I don't know. So you will introduce people to a lot of other stuff, and you may be thinking, well, but if you introduce all that stuff, it will become confusing for people. But if you use the other code, it's the same confusion. They just give you these 2 decks, so you are more like focused on using always the decks that you know, I guess. But again, I digress. It is what it is. It's not cheaper than the other ones, and it doesn't have the code to add cards to Magic Arena. And Magic Arena is very pay to win, as Magic is kind of, to be honest. So it is what it is. But to play with people that never play Magic, and in my case, my experience, which was, let me buy this to teach 2 young people that really like Assassin's Creed, but never play Magic, how to play Magic, it actually worked wonders because they recognized. Actually, I felt very old because they didn't recognize Ezio, or like they kind of recognized Ezio, but they never played with him. So they recognized Eivor and some of the others, but it was like, yeah, Ezio, I think I know him. It's like, no, you don't. I am old. F me. F in the chat. So good interactions, 2 very different decks. People actually exchange decks so they could play with both sides, and they are kind of balanced. So, as an intro product, it's very good. Now, would I recommend it for $20? No, unless you're a fan of Assassin's Creed and you want to introduce yourself to Magic or introduce someone else, and there is no other way, I guess. But nah, this is more of a, $10 to $15 product, not more than that. I think I pay 11 for this, which, considering what I get, is okay, because, this is, in my case at least, this is trash, this is whatever, and I guess I can use some of the cards here. Again, this is not for established players, obviously, because it says starter kit, so this is for young people. Now, I prefer, if you want to gift Magic to someone, this may be better than the bundle. So instead of giving them the bundle for them to open packs and get addicted to it and have a very lousy spin down, which if you don't know what I'm talking about, see the link, because that bundle the Assassin's Creed bundle is certainly a thing. Maybe this is a better present if you want to introduce someone that likes Assassin's Creed to Magic, because you can play with them and then they can keep the decks and play with their family or whatever. And it's very simplified. But hey, remember, sleeves. If you want to fit the cards in here, maybe just inner sleeves. Don't go full sleeves. But if you don't care about this, use full sleeves. And do what I did. I bought 2 Dragon Shield packs of sleeves. They come in a box. It wasn't this one, but for example, I sleeve the deck, I remove the excess sleeves because it's only 60 cards and it comes with 100, and then you can fit the deck inside the Dragon Shield box. And they have some sort of a deck box, and if they really want to start, getting into Magic the Gathering, so on, they can buy a deck box and all that stuff that we know because we are addicts to this stuff. But hey, not a bad start. I really like the 2 decks. I think they have a very good balance between them. I'm curious about the future starter kits, the Boomboru one. I don't like it that it comes with less stuff and it costs the same. So, I guess B- if I was the professor. Although I don't use that score system, so I will say, I don't know, 3 out of 5, or 5 out of 10, which means it's okay. It's not for established players. For new players, it has less value than other things. It's only really worth it if you really want Assassin's Creed or you want to Trojan horse Magic into someone that really likes Assassin's Creed. And, it works as a dual deck, so I guess I'm okay with it. And that's a review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you think about this. Will you buy this if you're an established Magic the Gathering player, or will you buy this for a loved one to teach them how to play the dark magic arts game that is Magic the Gathering? And also notice how this thing is kind of cheap because the cards here are not that good. There is no rare cards here beyond these 2. So that's why Wizards is like, it can be $10 or 11 or 15, whatever, we don't care. So I really like the fact that it's cheaper because we just want to play Magic. So like, subscribe, and I'm gone. PAX Recreation, bye.